Influential rapper Tupac Shakur's death continues to be shrouded in mystery, as shifting explanations for how he died just don't add up. Tupac influenced generations of rappers, with new arrests. Will his killer finally be brought to justice? Tupac Shakur is one of the most influential and successful rappers of all time. He has sold more than 75 million records worldwide. Pac was known for expanding gangster rap into deeper topics, addressing contemporary social issues in his lyrics that have plagued inner cities for decades. Cutting his teeth in New York City, the rapper's parents were both political activists and members of the Black Panthers. In the late 80s, his family moved to the Bay Area, where Tupac went on to define West Coast hip-hop with his 1991 debut album, Tupacalypse Now, featuring hit singles such as Brenda's Got a Baby, Trapped, and If My Homie Calls. Instead of rapping only about bling and crime, Tupac touched on topics such as racism, police brutality, poverty, black-on-black crime, and teen pregnancy. Did he have conscious lyrics, or is Tupac simply reflecting on the daily struggles of his community?
Tupac Shakur achieved critical acclaim with his next album, Strictly for My Niggas, in 1993, and Me Against the World, released in 1995. The next year, hip-hop fans heard Tupac's All Eyez On Me album. It broke a new kind of record, being the first double-length album in hip-hop history. Tupac wasn't just a musician, but a multi-talented actor starring in films such as Poetic Justice, Bullet, Juice, and Above the Rim. And just when everything was going in the right direction, Tupac was shot 5 times in a New York recording studio, right before serving time in prison until his release, where the rapper went on to work with Suge Knight. But after jail and signing with Death Row Records, his tone took a darker turn, trading introspective lyrics for more violent gangster rap that he became known for, just like his Thug Life chest tattoo. What would Tupac's legacy have been if he would have continued to be introspective instead of a gangster rapper? This was the calm before the storm, as beef between West Coast and East Coast rappers hinted at growing tensions about to explode.
The song California Love from Tupac's All Eyez On Me album has a lighter vibe. Also, Tupac Shakur was reflective and supported women's rights, the first activist rapper fighting for social justice issues and equality. One of his first run-ins with the police seemed to cast a shadow into Tupac Shakur's future. In 1993, Tupac stopped to help a black man being harassed on the side of the road. His car was shot at by 2 police officers who were brothers, and Tupac Shakur shot back in self-defense. Officers Scott and Mark Whitwell were charged with providing false statements and stealing the guns from the Henry County Police Evidence Locker. They were both also found to be intoxicated while shooting at Tupac's car as they harassed the black man that Tupac was trying to help. While this may seem random right now, it may have played a factor in the police wanting to get even from losing in a court case against Tupac. After going to jail, accused of sexual assault by Ayanna Jackson, Tupac felt like the world was against him and proclaimed his innocence until his death in 1996. Did this lead to Tupac Shakur's All Eyez On Me album? In a Vibe magazine interview back in April 1995, Tupac said that Ayanna Jackson came over while he was watching TV at the Parker Meridian Hotel, and Haitian Jack was there as well. Sometime later, Tupac said he woke up feeling like he'd been drugged, and Jackson was hysterically shouting, "How could you let them do this to me?" and identified Tupac Shakur as the one assaulting her to the cops. Tupac was arrested for sexual assault and gun charges. A juror named Richard Devitt, who served on the jury for this trial, said the gun charges were never taken seriously by the jury because the police brought in a different colored gun than the one Tupac Shakur allegedly had. According to multiple jurors, the majority of the jury wanted to dismiss the case against Tupac, but one older white woman made hysterical speeches about his Thug Life tattoo and how, regardless of if Tupac Shakur was guilty or innocent, the jury needed to, quote-unquote, send a message that, quote-unquote, somebody like that shouldn't be roaming the streets. The jury even suspected the cops had set Tupac up for the Quad Studio shooting and may have been one of the shooters as a way to get even from the Whitwell court cases. Ayanna Jackson had a sexual assault evidence kit completed, and the kit did not find any evidence of force or semen. Haitian Jack's attorney, Paul Brenner, decided to sever Jack's case from Tupac Shakur's case. He got Haitian Jack a 6-month plea deal for a sexual assault case instead of jail time. Why wasn't Haitian Jack punished as severely for the same crimes as Tupac Shakur? Was Tupac's arrest set up?
He's continued to take a disturbing turn after Tupac's All Eyez On Me project. In his first posthumous album, he rapped in his song Against All Odds that Haitian Jack was working with the feds, who have historically waged war against the Black Panthers that Pac's parents were a part of. Detective Bill Courtney was an undercover detective in the NYPD's intelligence division and confirmed that Haitian Jack was indeed an informant. According to Detective Bill Courtney, Haitian Jack, after being pulled over, was arrested and taken to the Beverly Hills PD interrogation room, where Detective Courtney worked on Haitian Jack for 2 hours until Haitian Jack finally agreed to become an informant at the threat of deportation. Did Officer Scott and Mark Whitwell seek vengeance? After being embarrassed as 2 drunk cops with stolen guns, losing a court case to a black rapper, was Tupac's guilty verdict the result of racial prejudice in the jury and payback from crooked cops? We'll never know.
What we do know is Tupac felt betrayed and framed by the people closest to him. Being shot and sent to jail, combined with Suge Knight and Haitian Jack's influence, may have created the Machiavelli Tupac as we see in Tupac's All Eyez On Me, much different from the Tupac Shakur who once rapped, "I remember Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. He had me feeling like black was the thing to be. And suddenly the ghetto didn't seem so tough. And though we had it rough, we always had enough." Shock G of Digital Underground said he didn't even recognize his friend anymore after the Quad Studio shooting, and it wasn't clear what Tupac Shakur's purpose was.
Tupac seemed to feel betrayed by the hood culture he helped cultivate. Big Stretch, a member of Tupac's rap group Thug Life, was one reason for this. Music manager Jimmy Henchman promised Big Stretch a half a brick of coke to set up Tupac and shoot him in the Quad Studio lobby. This was confirmed by Dexter Isaac, who was also hired in November 1994 to rob and shoot Tupac. Some fans have said that Suge Knight put a devil on one shoulder and the world on the other, manipulating Tupac into thinking the entire world was against him. All of this was building towards a clash of cultures between New York and LA hip-hop scenes.
Bronx rapper Tim Dog's Fuck Compton diss track sparked beef with super producer Dr. Dre, who would reply on his classic solo album, The Chronic. On November 30th, 1994, Tupac was shot 5 times in the Quad Studio lobby, and incredibly, despite being wounded, flipped his middle finger at Notorious B.I.G., who used to be his friend, right as Shakur was being carried out on a stretcher. Biggie's 1995 track, Who Shot Ya, didn't help. Despite being recorded prior to the Quad Studio shootings, Tupac felt like it was directed at him. Later the same year at the Source Awards, Suge Knight dissed Puff Daddy, escalating the East Coast-West Coast beef. Vibe magazine is cited as one of the biggest instigators of the conflict, which was also media-driven. Many more events happened that eventually culminated in both Tupac and Biggie's death. The lack of trust Tupac felt in those who were once his ride-or-die friends, like Big Stretch and Haitian Jack, may have played a major role in how his later rap lyrics glorified gang violence.
On September 7, 1996, at only the age of 25, Tupac Shakur was shot 4 times in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. Sadly, he passed away just a few days later. The shooter was never identified, but many suspected it was Notorious B.I.G's crew as a result of the East Coast-West Coast feud. But then, when least expected, Biggie was also killed in a drive-by shooting only 6 months later in March 1997 while in LA. Multiple posthumous albums went on to achieve commercial success for Tupac, and just like Rakim, Pac molded hip-hop in his image.
Many related to the struggle Tupac went through. Even Eminem, who is widely regarded as one of the best rappers of all time, said in 2003, "I think honestly that Tupac was the greatest songwriter that ever lived." Eminem further elaborated what he meant in 2015, later saying, "Regardless of how good a rapper someone is, it's easy for things to eventually get dated. But when you make songs like Tupac did, songs that feel like something, that feeling never goes away. He was just so good at evoking emotions through songs, and I picked up so much from that," said Eminem. One of the most widely debated topics beyond his music career was Tupac's death. Who really killed Tupac Shakur?
September 7, 1996. Suge Knight and Tupac were at a Mike Tyson boxing match at the MGM Grand in Vegas. In the lobby, Tupac ran into Crip gang member Orlando Anderson. They fought until it was broken up and they left in different directions. Then Suge Knight and Pac were on their way to Club 662, but around 11 p.m. a white caddy pulled up as they were at a stoplight. 14 shots were fired into Tupac and Suge Knight's car, and Tupac was hospitalized for multiple gunshot wounds. 6 days later, Tupac's mother decided to pull the plug on his life support machine, and he died of cardiac arrest on September 13, 1996. Orlando Anderson was suspected at first, then Notorious Big's crew, but before this could be confirmed, Anderson passed away in an unrelated shooting.
Many felt that Suge Knight was behind Tupac's murder because it was thought that Tupac was about to leave Death Row Records to start his own record label. Some even said that Sharitha Golden, Suge's ex-wife, orchestrated the shooting with a security guard to gain control of the label. One of the craziest theories is that Tupac is living in Cuba and is still alive. A fake autopsy photo and the many posthumous albums are used by conspiracy theorists to rationalize this idea, as well as Tupac's mother saying that Tupac, quote-unquote, chose to leave quietly. But now, breaking news, as there is an update in Tupac's murder. Duane Keefe D. Davis, who grew up with Suge Knight and was a member of the Southside Compton Crips, was arrested for the murder of Tupac Shakur. In October 2011, LAPD detective Greg Kading, a former investigator in Biggie Small's death, released a book alleging that Diddy paid Keefe D to kill Tupac Shakur, as well as Suge Knight, for $1 million. Davis and Katie claimed that Orlando Anderson was in the vehicle that pulled up next to Pac's BMW where he was shot. In a recorded conversation with Kading, Davis claimed Anderson fired the shots that killed Tupac.
In 2018, Duane Davis confessed to being part of Tupac's murder, and he only came forward because he was dying of cancer. Davis said that he was in the passenger side in the white Cadillac on the night of the shooting. He refused to name anyone else in the caddy, but confirmed that the shooter was Orlando Anderson, his nephew, and that it was in retaliation for getting jumped at the MGM Grand earlier that day. Davis also said Puff Daddy put out a hit on Tupac, paying $1 million for whoever would get the job done. In September 2023, the police raided Duane Davis's house in Vegas, and despite his confession, Davis pled not guilty. According to the prosecution, when talking to his son on a recorded jailhouse phone call, Davis authorized hits on any witnesses that testified against him.
This world means an authorization to kill.
Green light on our side. Our side? Yeah, he was raised in the world.
A cryptic exchange heard between Duane Keefe D. Davis and his son Duane Jr. during a jailhouse phone call. Davis is the suspect accused of orchestrating the 1996 drive-by shooting of rapper Tupac Shakur here in Las Vegas.
Despite this, Davis was still granted a $750,000 bail and allowed to leave on house arrest due to his age. The trial for who appears to be Tupac's killer is set for June 3rd, 2024. Has Tupac's killer finally been caught?
The Machiavelli Project is often used by rappers to justify living a street lifestyle and getting into gang life. But what about the many albums before that?
Did Pac unintentionally create more gangster rappers than he intended to?
Looking at gang activity in Chicago, rappers like Chief Keef and the drill rap scene glorified violence, while other artists like Chance the Rapper and Lupe Fiasco, also from Chicago, went in the opposite direction. In a way, Chief Keef is like Tupac after the Quad Studio shooting, and Lupe Fiasco is early Tupac, focusing on more positive lyrics.
What would Tupac have been like if he didn't sign with Death Row Records and focused on activist rap, empowering women and people of color?
And how could that have influenced generations of hip-hop artists that came after? Would hip-hop have a more positive message if Tupac never met Ayanna Jackson and Haitian Jack? And would Tupac still be alive today? We're from the jump. Subscribe.